in the name of personal injury law.
The recent changes to our auto insurance no-fault law impacts everyone in the state, but motorcyclists are a special group of people who are impacted differently by the no-fault law changes. Today we have Steve Sinas, a personal injury attorney at the Sinas Law Firm, here to explain how motorcyclists are impacted by the new no-fault law.
Thanks for having me.
So Steve, first, explain the special concerns that you have for motorcyclists with respect to the no-fault law.
So I've had the privilege to represent many motorcyclists throughout my career. They obviously love what they do in terms of being able to get out there and ride their bikes. Unfortunately, when bad things happen and they're in a crash, their injuries can be severe. There can often be liability disputes in terms of arguing who's at fault. There's also special considerations about whether motorcyclists, can claim benefits under the no-fault insurance system. So they're just a unique group of people, and they need to understand their rights, and those rights have been affected by these reforms. So we're here to talk about that today.
So before we get to that, can you explain how it worked for motorcyclists under the original no-fault law?
Yeah. So just to get to a basic point, under the original law, if a motorcyclist was just riding down the street and there was no other motor vehicle involved in the crash, say the motorcyclist just went off the road and hit a tree. If there's no involvement of a motor vehicle in how that motorcycle crashes, there's no-fault benefits. But if there is, the motorcyclist can claim no-fault benefits through the no-fault insurance system. And under the original law, everybody was entitled to lifetime coverage. So if a motorcyclist could pass this test, that meant the motorcyclist would have access to the no-fault insurance system and have their care and treatment covered for life. And the other rule that was under the original law is that as a way of dealing with who pays for those benefits, the law had it so that the system covered motorcyclists by having them recover their no-fault benefits from the motor vehicle's policy involved. So if I was on my motorcycle, and I was riding on the street and you came and somehow were involved with the crash, I would claim no-fault benefits under your policy. But it was all lifetime coverage, so it didn't really matter whose policy we were recovering from. And that's how it worked under the original law.
Okay, so how did the 2019 reforms change the reality for motorcyclists?
The reality is changed because now fundamentally people don't have to buy lifetime no-fault medical expense coverage. People can buy $50,000 of medical expense coverage if they're on Medicaid, or $250,000 of coverage, or $500,000 of coverage. Nobody has to buy lifetime anymore. And so with that system being in place, when a motorcyclist is in a crash, going back to my hypothetical, if I'm on my motorcycle and you hit me, but you chose to buy $250,000 of medical expense coverage, I would be subject to your policy and subject to your cap, even if I bought lifetime no-fault medical expense coverage for my own vehicles at home. So they changed the insurance buying options for motorcyclists, but they didn't change that rule that you draw from the vehicle involved. Mm-hmm. And now motorcyclists are at the mercy of the insurance buying decisions of the motor vehicles involved in the crashes that hurt them.
Which is exactly the opposite for anybody driving a car.
Right.
Right.
People driving a car, and the whole reforms were based on people having choice, people being able to choose their own fate. But motorcyclists can never choose their own fate under the reforms.
So are there any other sources of recovery for a motorcyclist who is in an accident?
Yes. They can pursue an auto negligence claim. So let's go back to my hypothetical. I'm on my motorcycle driving down the street and you hit me and it's your fault. You have $250,000 of no-fault medical expense coverage. I can pursue that from your no-fault insurance coverage. And then I can sue you for my uncovered medical expenses. But there are limitations I'm going to have to deal with. Mm-hmm. The one limitation is the extent of liability insurance coverage you bought on your own vehicle. So you have $250,000 of no-fault coverage. Maybe you have $250,000 of liability coverage. If I'm paralyzed as a motorcyclist or severely brain injured, that's only $500,000 that I can recover in total for my medical care, whereas under the old system, I get lifetime. The other issue with liability cases is that you're dealing with liability disputes, you're dealing with arguments about fault, and all that can be a reduction on how much I can recover from you. Let's say a jury were to determine that you were 75% at fault, but I was 25% at fault. It would reduce my medical expense claim against you by my own fault. So the tort claim is not a perfect source of recovery for injured people.
Are there any other limitations on the motorcycle driver getting money compensation from the at-fault driver?
Yeah, one other limitation that is a practical reality for the motorcyclist is that if their health insurance has to pay for the medical expenses, the health insurance can come in and claim a lien against the amount recovered from the at-fault driver. So the motorcyclist thinks they're going to recover a certain amount of money. Their health insurance said, well, we paid $200,000 of your medical expenses and we want that money back.
So even if you have outstanding medical expenses, the health insurance provider can take the first part of the award or all of it?
There can be a big argument about how much money they can take. And so that's a huge concern when motorcyclists are pursuing auto tort cases. There's a big difference in terms of whether the lien is through a state-funded source of insurance, such as Medicaid or Medicare. If people have private insurance through Blue Cross, that can lead to a different outcome. People have ERISA health insurance plans, which are self-funded insurance plans. So when a motorcyclist is in an auto tort case and they're pursuing a recovery for pain, suffering, and medical expenses, and they have a lien, chances are their actual recovery that goes to them is going to be greatly reduced by those lien rights.
So this is really troubling. Are there any legislative efforts to fix some of these issues that came out of the 2019 reforms?
Yeah, going back to what we were talking about before, I mean, the reforms were passed in the name of choice, right? People being able to choose their own fate. And so certain legislators have realized that now motorcyclists cannot choose their own fate. They're at the mercy of other people's decisions. And so there have been a couple bills introduced to fix this problem. Unfortunately, those bills have not gone anywhere in terms of a vote. It seems that the legislature overall is trying to say that these reforms are good enough for now and not trying to make changes. But I really think that the motorcyclist situation is a real example of unfair outcomes and unintended outcomes of the system. So hopefully they'll do something, but right now nothing's happening.
So give us your top recommendations, your ultimate insurance buying recommendations for motorcyclists who are watching this episode. How can you help them decide what insurance to buy?
All right. So unfortunately, your decision to buy no-fault insurance coverage isn't really going to help you all that much if there's this other vehicle involved that has no-fault insurance coverage. But you do protect yourself overall by buying lifetime no-fault medical expense coverage. So that might cost more, but I recommend everybody continue to buy that. You're also going to want to make sure that on your motorcycle, you have liability insurance coverage and that you have a significant amount of that, because people now can be held liable for each other's medical expense coverage. So you want to make sure you have liability insurance coverage in the event you were to make a mistake and someone were to bring a claim against you. And then there's also something known as uninsured or underinsured motorist coverage, which is coverage that applies when you're hit by somebody who doesn't have enough insurance, which is underinsured, or any insurance at all, which would be uninsured. And you want to buy that for yourself, and you want to make sure that that would apply in a crash involving your motorcycle. Because sometimes you can buy that policy with your auto insurance company and there isn't such coverage that applies to motorcycles. So you want to make sure it applies to your motorcycle and make sure that you buy as much as you can. It's a much more complicated system for motorcyclists. There's a lot to think through. If you follow those recommendations, you'll be fully protected, but or as close as to be as fully protected as you can, but it's still going to be more costly for you.
Okay,
Yeah.
right. Well, thank you for your advice, Steve.
Thank you.
In the Name of Personal Injury Law is brought to you by the Sinas Law Firm.